Hello and welcome along to something that we're going to call Refocus, the brand new online program from the Exeter Chamber of Commerce. My name is Matt Young, I'm your host, and each and every month we'll be bringing you up to date with all the latest news from the greater Exeter area, bringing you insights and initiatives and everything to help you run your businesses on a day-to-day basis. Now, we're going to kick off today with the Chair of the Chamber of Commerce, that is Matt Roach, who is going to tell us about the current initiatives and also who we'll be speaking to on today's show.
Hello everyone and welcome to Refocus, the new web programme from Exeter Chamber of Commerce. We're so excited to be back and we've such a fantastic lineup for our first show with city and regional leaders Kerry Denton, Melindy Myers and Kareem Hassan joining us to set the scene on the economy and vision for the future. As with our previous virtual show, the Friday Lockdown Show, we'll be sharing good news and this month with some brilliant stories to update you on, including a behind-the-scenes look at the redevelopment of the former House of Fraser building with Pridis Consulting, information from an Exeter-based STEM startup, Neurognostics, who have won a fantastic £870,000 in funding, a look at the city's plan to end homelessness with the Exeter Homeless Partnership. Plus, we will take a moment to celebrate the Chamber's Support Local champions, Oddfellows, Axminster Carpets, the Met Office, Apex, and the Belt Makers. I'd also like to take this opportunity to say a big thank you to BitPod, to Mr. Matt Young, and to One Voice Media for producing the show and doing such a cracking job. Before we get on with the show, just a quick mention of two initiatives that Exeter Chamber is currently working on. The first is Exeter Works, a website for anyone looking for a new job, searching for training opportunities, or looking to improve their interview skills. The aim is to build a new future with support and advice from a community of Greater Exeter's businesses and organisations. It's a partnership between Exeter Chamber of Commerce and Exeter City Council, and this important project aims to help individuals and businesses shape their future employment plans post-COVID-19. The website, www.exeterworks.org, is due to launch at the beginning of October, and look out for more exciting news on that in the coming weeks. The second initiative that the Chamber has been working on for some time is the brand strategy. Many of you would have been involved in feeding back on the Chamber and what you'd like to see from your Chamber going forward. And this is currently being worked on, and there again should be some exciting announcements on that in the coming weeks. So that's enough from me. It's time to get on with the show. And Matt, it's over to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Matt. It is great to be back, isn't it? Okay, without any further ado, let's get on with our very first guest of this brand new show, and that is Kerry Denton, Head of Enterprise, Economy and Skills at Devon County Council. Kerry, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Delighted to be here. Great to have a chance to talk to people.
Kerry, what is the current economic situation like for Exeter and the wider area?
Well, the current economic situation for Exeter and the wider area of Devon is not particularly rosy. We are certainly suffering under a number of impacts from the pandemic, although there has been some uplift in the economy across the summer. So both in terms of productivity and job losses, we're looking at a predicted loss of productivity of around 8% and unemployment rising to about 5%. The Exeter economy is faring better than other parts of the county, propped up by a number of resilient sectors, particularly employment in the public sector, and also some of the knowledge-based economy has certainly had some opportunities. But the forecasts that we've looked at for the overall Devon economy show a bounce back towards the end of 2022 for the Devon economy, both in terms of employment and in productivity. That's a baseline scenario. Unfortunately, there is a more pessimistic variety, which would show a loss of 13% productivity and unemployment closer to 13% and not returning to looking at the pre-pandemic levels until 2030. Sorry, the unemployment figure was 9%, the productivity was 13%. So when we look at the current situation, it's clear that the impacts from the pandemic are not equal. They're not felt equally by places or businesses, sectors, and by individuals. Hospitality and tourism has particularly been impacted. although with things promoting the Eat Out to Help Out has certainly given a boost to the hospitality sector across the summer, and some of the other measures from government. But towns, particularly city centre here in Exeter, and the retail sector has definitely been impacted. And we've seen a number of job losses, unfortunately, occurring. And then we've also seen, obviously, people not returning back to offices, and that's had an impact as well on spend in the local area. Construction and manufacturing has also been struggling. Certainly a non-negotiated deal with the EU as well may have a wider impact as we look forward over the coming months, as well as agriculture and food and drink and the associated supply chains. And we've done a little bit of a work looking at the dependence on the national schemes, so things like the Job Retention Scheme, furloughing, and the Self-Employment Income Support Scheme. And it's a fact that the Devon sectors, the Devon businesses, have a much stronger and higher dependence on these national schemes than the national average. Particularly true for hospitality, construction, manufacturing, but also retail. And we also know that a number of local businesses have taken up the opportunities from the two loan schemes, the COVID Business Interruption Loan Scheme and the Bounce Back Loan Scheme. And we know that businesses are starting to show concern about restructuring their companies and thinking about the repayments of those debts. The universal claimant figures are rising. Hopefully the youth unemployment did not rise over the last month, but that hasn't been the case previous to that. So we are seeing a disproportionate impact on our young people. And when we combine the reliance on the furlough and the self-employed income support schemes for the sectors in Exeter, East Devon, but true for the rest of the county, and we factor, say, 15% of employees currently reliant on those schemes may become unemployed, then we are starting to see unemployment edge to over 5% in the coming months. In East Devon, it could be up to 10%, and in Exeter, up to about 7% at a worst case scenario, where we rose that prediction to say 30% of those jobs and those individuals having sustained employment through those national schemes. So it's been a lot of impact, not evenly felt. There are some opportunities as well within the economy, which we can come on to talk about.
Okay, what are the opportunities for the local economy?
Well, there are good opportunities for the local economy. Certainly the technology sector, and something we have in abundance here, a growing cluster of data and digital companies. Certainly a lot of businesses have had to trade and move their operations and applications to online, and that's given a natural boost to this particular sector. I think we've seen sort of 2 years worth of investment in sort of digital transformation happen over a 2-month period, and that's obviously given a boost and a bolster to that part of the economy. It's a great opportunity for our tech-based companies located in the city, near to the city, around the Exeter Science Park and elsewhere, but also the collaborations and the research and development opportunities that sit alongside that with Exeter University and other academic institutions. And I think that could also play a part in digital solutions to support the health and care sector, which obviously has remained buoyant in terms of employment through the pandemic for obvious reasons. But there is a significant opportunity to look at how tech might drive some health and care solutions as we move forward. Another opportunity is the green technologies, and we're all aware of the carbon savings with less transport and less people travelling. And the associated skills and uplifting clean growth is a potential opportunity for our area. More people working at home, wanting to live and travel and lead significantly different lifestyles, and create new businesses and new business growths focusing on that low carbon green economy. And I think that's another strength for the Exeter, East Devon area, and indeed for Devon. And I suppose the other opportunity I would cite is how the public sector can play its part to stimulate growth within the construction sector. I've mentioned that that's one of the sectors that is likely to suffer the consequences of the pandemic, particularly in the subcontractor and supply chains. but we can play a part in continuing to commission infrastructure, whether it's road schemes, house building, or other forms of construction projects. Exeter Science Park, for example, is going great guns with some of its new grow-on buildings, and that's just an example. We're working with other public sector partners and government on the One Public Estate, and we have the infrastructure activity taking place already in and around St David's Station, looking at the feasibility of bringing forward housing and alternative site at the station. A new round of funding is imminent, and again we will be looking to work with partners to drive that forward, just to help stimulate the construction sector at a much needed time.
Kerry, my final question for you today: what are the current priorities for Devon County Council?
Well, the County Council's been delighted to work in partnership with local authority partners here in Exeter, East Devon and further afield. And we've come together as Team Devon and created a recovery prospectus, which we jointly published at the beginning of July. And we can provide a link to that for anyone who's interested. It sets out a complete package of support, both in the immediate term, to look at solving some of the issues that our businesses and sectors and communities are facing in the here and the now, but also looking at some of those opportunities I've referred to and how we grow back better an economy that's more sustainable and more resilient and ultimately more productive. That package of support, we have lobbied government to help co-invest alongside local partners, and we've put a pitch together for government to retain some of the discretionary grant funding that was awarded to local authorities to help businesses. There is some 37 million remaining in those funds, and we would like to ask government to have local discretion over how we apply that to deliver the recovery prospectus. We've very much been focusing on supporting those that are most impacted, people back into work, supporting those at risk or being made redundant. And we've put together a package working with DWP, working with local partners around reskilling and redundancy support. That's been built up on experiences that we've worked collaboratively with the City Council in East Devon around the Flybe unfortunate closure. And we've also created a jobs launchpad on behalf of the Heart of the South West Local Enterprise Partnership to try to connect people into some of the remaining employment opportunities. We would like to launch a Made in Devon campaign celebrating our local services and goods and products, making sure to encourage people to continue to buy local, a theme that did occur and is occurring during the pandemic, but also celebrating some of our great businesses, great talent, and generating that sense of pride in what Devon is good at and some of the excellent products and food and drink that we're renowned for. We very much want to put a package of support together for young people, recognising the disruptive nature of their schooling and their career choices, and very much wanting to encourage them still to retain those career ambitions and supporting them to achieve those. So working with Exeter College and other partners to look at right and good careers advice and guidance, how we encourage companies still to consider apprenticeships, how we look at internships, traineeships to give them that really valued first step into the world of employment. And we're also looking at encouraging additional support for our businesses. We have the Kickstart grant programme for SMEs and tourism businesses live at the moment, but we want to do more, and we recognise that there is a growing need to provide a listening ear to businesses, particularly if some of the predicted consequences of furlough and self-employment income support scheme kick in. We know there's going to be a range of businesses that will need additional support and help, and that's about adapting them to think about online trading and online activities, thinking about their own business models, their business strategies, supporting them with the right skills that they will require within their businesses. So a package of many things which I haven't got time to go into now, but be very happy to share the prospectus and answer any questions that anyone has. So thank you very much.
Kerry, thank you very much indeed for your time today. Okay, next up on the show, it's the good news section. Love this part of the show. And kicking us off today is Joe Priday. Now, Joe is here to tell us about the redevelopment of the old House of Fraser building in the centre of the city.
Hi, my name's Joe Priday. I'm a director of Plaza Properties, and which was set up by Pridis, who basically acquired the former House of Fraser building in Exeter. Quite a sort of complex transaction over probably 18 months in total, whereby we obtained planning permission for a hotel and spa complex within the building as well as 4 retail units on the high street side. We've sort of gone through the process of defining exactly what the hotel sort of needs to be. We've just signed a large deal with Intercontinental Hotel Group, who are putting in a Hotel Indigo brand. Absolutely perfect for the city, very much focused on the neighbourhood story and the local environment. And yeah, sort of definitely gives the city something it perhaps hasn't got centrally. With that, the retail units are coming on very, very nicely. Sort of perfect size, trying to sort of fit the sort of modern outlook for the high street, the more sort of shop attainment type market, whereby you have a vibrant, iconic building. Within that, there's something that the internet can't compete with is the social aspect to it. It's taking the family out and actually enjoying what's in your city, and within that, you might pick up bits in shops, etc., try things on, and that's what we're sort of trying to focus on with retail. There's a large spa as well that's going into the basement, which again is sort of trying to give the city something again it hasn't got centrally. Trying to pick up the sort of the tourists that might want more of a spa break, as well as sort of capitalising on visiting parents going to the university, just trying to get the building vibrant and really get it moving. It's obviously got the highest footfall within the city centre anyway, with the High Street, Catherine Square, Cathedral Green, and again within the development we are maximising this spectacular view. Again, a big tourism drag, just trying to bring people into the city, into the building. So we have a large roof terrace going up here with a large bar, and really trying to make something spectacular and show off what Exeter has to offer. We've got full 360-degree view around the city. You can see the bowl that the city sits within and all the history around it. It's going to be absolutely spectacular. We're currently at the stage where the building has been stripped, so all the old shop fittings, everything's out. All the tender packs have gone to the contractors, and we hope to be actually starting to put the building back together in November this year, with opening for Christmas 21.
Hi, my name's Chrissy Walker, and I'm the Operations Director of Neurognostics, a medtech spin-out from the University of Exeter. We've recently been awarded a total of £870,000 from the National Institute of Health Research as part of their AI in Health and Care scheme. At the heart of Neurognostics are mathematical algorithms that help improve the diagnosis and prognosis of people with suspected epilepsy. In essence, what our algorithms can do is assess EEGs that currently don't show seizure activities, and that's around half of EEGs that are taken. Our algorithms can interrogate sections of those EEGs, and actually, by running those simulations through many, many times, calculate the likelihood of that system, that brain, to fall into a seizure state. This risk score can help clinicians make decisions much more quickly and confidently about the likelihood of that person actually having epilepsy. And what that does is it speeds the diagnosis, reduces the uncertainty, and actually ultimately reduces the costs for the NHS with people with suspected epilepsy. The 2 awards, the larger award is a total of £720,000, and that's going to create the software to wrap around the bioapp technology to get it safely and securely into clinic. And the second award for £150,000 will be to test the proof of concept of putting bioapp onto a smartphone and pairing it with a Bluetooth headset, meaning that people could start taking their own risk scores at home, but also that we could take it out to remote regions where they can't access neurology centres in that way. We're about to start hiring for developers, so we'd be really interested that for anyone that's interested in becoming involved to follow us on Twitter or Facebook. We're easily found under Neurognostics, and also for anyone that's got experience of epilepsy and would like to get involved in making sure that our technology is developed to maximise the positive impact of for people with epilepsy, we'd love you to get in touch. So please, again, have a look on Twitter and Facebook and give us a follow. Thank you.
It is always great to hear such good news from local organisations who are really pushing things forward in this vibrant city of ours. Thank you very much indeed to today's contributors. Okay, next up in the show then, it's Fiona Carden. Now, Fiona is a director of CoLab and also sits on the team of the Exeter Homelessness Partnership. Fiona is here to talk to us about an ambitious plan to bring homelessness to an end in the next 3 years.
Hello, my name is Fiona Carden. I'm a director at CoLab Exeter and I'm a member of the Exeter Homeless Partnership team, which is what I'm here to talk to you about today. So thank you for this opportunity. Exeter Homeless Partnership, or EHP, is a 3-year comic relief funded project. We're just about to step into year 2. Naturally, things have been a little bit strange in year 1, so we're kind of regrouping at the moment and looking at what happens coming through the pandemic and the impact that that's had on us, which, as you can imagine, has been significant in terms of homelessness in the city. So we are kind of regrouping at the moment and looking at how we have a citywide conversation. So the vision of EHP is an ambitious one. It's to end homelessness in our city, in Exeter. And we've only got 2 years left to do that. So we need everybody's voices in this conversation. The backbone of the organisation, or of EHP, is people with lived experience of homelessness. So we know that in order to make sustainable change, we need different voices, we need different experiences informing those kind of sustainable choices. So we know that people with lived experience of homelessness have a lot to say, and it's important that they have a way to express their views and to share those views, and hopefully to find ways to find creative solutions that end homelessness in our city. And also it's important to recognise that homelessness is not just the very visible end of homelessness, which is what you and I will see with people sleeping in doorways, but it's also young people sofa surfing, it's people living in temporary accommodation. So it's a citywide conversation that we are trying to establish. And it's about not just statutory organisations or voluntary organisations, it's looking to have conversations with businesses, to have conversations with the enormous student population, to have conversations with people who use Exeter, who come into the shop in the city. How do we involve everyone in that citywide conversation to find creative answers to what is a really challenging social problem? And we know we can't do it on our own, and we know it can't be just one agency or one organisation that finds the answers. So the principle is having citywide conversations, having open, courageous conversations where we know that we may not always agree, but that's part of learning from each other. And also that's important too, is that how do we educate, how do we know better the reasons that people find themselves in temporary accommodation or sleeping rough, and how do we support people to make sustainable changes in their lives. We know it's complex, but we know we can, with effort, with courage, with energy and enthusiasm, we can find new ways to end homelessness in the city. Now, just before lockdown, we were about to start a Tap to Give scheme, which you may have seen in other cities around the country, where there are digital points in the city where people can make digital donations to charities. Now, Exeter Homeless Partnership is a project, not a charity. If we set up, and we intend to set up, a Tap to Give scheme, the money will go into a central resource, which will go directly to help people that are experiencing homelessness themselves. So that's one side of it. But also for the Tap to Give, crucially, it's about education, it's about raising awareness, it's about explaining some of the reasons that people find themselves homeless, and hopefully building up some empathy and some compassion to better understand the need that people have and how to resolve that. But also we know that we want to find ways to engage with businesses, to engage with you, to find ways for you to share your experiences, your resource, and I mean that in terms of ideas and expertise and time, and how can you bring that to the Exeter Homeless Partnership. So we hope, we plan to have workshops, Zoom workshops, face-to-face workshops maybe, who knows, but also which will be partly about education, but also about hearing what people's experiences are and how you can share that with the project. We are a co-production method, which means we never know exactly what things are going to look like. which is both kind of slightly alarming and also very exciting. So co-production means that we will come together with people, find ideas and bring those to fruition. So we would like you, all of you, as many of you as possible, to be part of those conversations. At the end of this video, there will be some contact information, how you can reach me, how you can reach the team, where you can find further information and how you can get involved. So I hope that I will have an opportunity to talk with you rather than just talking to a video camera, and to interact with some of you, find out your views, get your ideas and information, and to share that with our project. Thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much indeed, Fiona. Okay, next up, our final guest for today. It is Kareem Hassan, the Chief Executive and Growth Director for Exeter City Council. Kareem is here to tell us about the rebuild and recovery here in Exeter.
Let me begin by paying tribute to the work of Sir Steve Smith, who has recently retired as the Vice-Chancellor of Exeter University. I can't think of anybody who's had a bigger impact on this city than the work that Steve Smith has done in Exeter to support the progress of the university. I need to make tribute to him. Also to welcome the new Vice-Chancellor of the university, Lisa Roberts. And I start with this because the success of our economy is being built over many, many years by people focused on the long term, doing the right thing to deliver the ingredients that makes a successful economy, not only in the short term, but over the long term. And to recognize that some of the big decisions that affect the prosperity of our city and our region require years of planning and investment. And they're often not at the position where they benefit from the investments of the decisions that we've taken. And it is always thus. And so I talk to you in the middle of a crisis, a pandemic, and I think because of the work that we've done over many, many years, we're probably better in a position that's better than most places to not only come out of this recovery, out of this COVID-19 crisis and the recovery better than most, but also to kick on to another level, which is basically where Exeter deserves to be. And I just want to spend a bit of time both on that short-term impact on what we're doing and also the longer term. And the first thing I would do is say, look, one of the brilliant things about this city from a point of view of what it does well is it has fantastic business networks that bring together people with the right spirit and attitude. They want to do the right thing for the place. And that means they are capable of dropping everything to come when there's a need to play their part in how we come out of a problem like this in a good condition. And an example of that for me has been the work of people like Matthew Colton from GWR, Mike Watson from Stagecoach, working with the likes of John Laramie and Rob Bosworth at the college to understand how the public transport system can support our institutions to get back to normal and to convey the message that the city is open for business, to give confidence for those employers and those pupils who want to come back to the city to return. And that work has been going on in earnest. There's been a whole lot of work done on the recovery program, supported by Sir Steve Smith in his role as the chair of the Exeter Place Board, to look at the recovery needs of the city and has basically supported 7 themes of work. And the work that they've been doing is absolutely critical to getting us back on a firm footing. One of the work streams that has been led by John Laramie at the college has been on the city centre. And what we've seen is the city centre, like all city centres, have a massive impact as a result of COVID, where footfall declined dramatically. We felt as a city council, because nobody was paying car parking income, we had a major financial crisis. But because of the work of the traders, because of the work that's going on in the city, footfall has grown steadily. So to this week, I think it is, we're now 18% below where we were this time last year, which is a remarkable building up of footfall. And now that the students have come back for the university and college, I can see it visibly as I walk around the city centre, how the footfall is starting to increase. And we still got major employers, office workers who still haven't returned in the numbers that they were pre-COVID, and I'm sure that will continue to rise. Now, one of the things I think I'm spotting is when they do come to the shop, they're spending money. So the numbers might be down, but I think they're spending more because I think we're shopping with a purpose. Now, one of the issues for us is the cultural and entertainment sector. We're all struggling because of what's going on, and we continue to ask and build the case, if you like, for government funding to support the cultural sector. It's really important to the way the city feels, and I'm confident the likes of Northcote Theatre and others are making the case why investment needs to come. Now, from my point of view, city centres are absolutely critical to the success of our city. It often shapes people's perception of the place. You come to the centre, you see it thriving, and therefore it's a place you want to spend. What we've seen with the secondary shopping areas like 4th Street, South Street and Gander Street, generally independent businesses, is that they've come back strong and they're doing well. There are lots of issues that the retail sector, restaurant sector are facing at the national level, but I'm confident that what's happened in Exeter over the years has meant that if some of those brands are going to pull out of other stores nationally, I think they will think twice about pulling out of Exeter. Our people, the Crown Estates, Aviva, all of them are looking what we need to do to make sure that we remain an attractive place for continued presence and investment in the future. We as a City Council are absolutely determined to underpin everything we do with the investment that we make. We're making a significant investment, as you all know, in the St. Sidwell's Point. It's well out of the ground now. It's starting to look good. You're getting a flavour of the building as a statement. The quality of this, I'm sure, is going to knock your socks off. When you see this building, the quality of what we're putting in there, I think what it'll do is show you the pride we have in this place. And to me, that's one of the challenges for us, is that everybody's heads are going to drop short term. I know that. It's got to. I mean, we're all being challenged. But we need to hold tight to the long-term vision of this as a successful place that's continuing to grow. And what we are doing with the St. Sidwell's Point and what we're trying to do with our wider development is to anchor that place with a new quarter which diversifies away from retailing to provide more housing, more employment and more commercial space in that important part of the city centre. Now, a bit broader than that, we've heard a lot of noise around the Greater Exeter Strategic Plan. You might have picked up that our neighbours have decided they feel that they can't progress with this plan. It's unfortunate. I think it comes from a misunderstanding that there's a perception that Exeter is exporting its housing need to our neighbouring authorities. That's far from being the case. Exeter is consuming its housing needs. We have to deliver 12,500 homes over the next 20 years. Liveable Exeter will do exactly that. It's a big, ambitious programme which requires a lot of help because we're dealing with brownfield sites, and we are appealing to the government through the Garden Communities programme to help us invest in the infrastructure to support that transformational housing agenda. We ain't exporting housing need. Our neighbours need to deliver the housing that they're obliged to deliver. And the government's white paper is going to increase the burden on our neighbours in terms of the amount of housing that they expect to have to deliver. Now, that might not survive. The white paper might not survive, I know that. However, it just makes the point. Long-term prosperity of this part of Devon requires to work collaboratively to make sure we deliver the infrastructures our communities need, to deliver the land that's required for housing and employment. And I'm committed, I know our politicians are committed to try and make that sub-regional approach work for the long-term benefit of our economy. And for me, to you, thank you for all the help that you're giving us in bringing about these how we come out of this recovery. Thank you.
Isn't it great to get that kind of insight from someone in Kareem's position? Kareem, we really do appreciate your time for today's programme here on Refocus. Okay, now it's time to hear about one of those initiatives that Matt Roach from the Exeter Chamber of Commerce mentioned at the beginning of the show. It's something that they are calling Support Local. Support Local is the latest campaign from the Exeter Chamber celebrating businesses and organisations which are doing their bit to support the local economy by choosing local suppliers, providing jobs and serving the community. So, to finish for today, we are going to look at a handful of businesses doing just that. First up, the Oddfellows. For the unfamiliar, it's that great gastro pub on New North Road. Now, the Oddfellows is proud to support local by buying their goods from local suppliers, including Dart Fresh, Luscombe Drinks, Salcombe Brewery, Otter Brewery and Sanford Orchards. Axminster Carpets is proud to support local by employing local people, many of which are second, third and even fourth generation family members, and has plans to implement an employee ownership model so that employees and local people can really feel part of the research. The gentleman in this picture is Barry, by the way. The Met Office is proud to support local by employing over 1,000 people from the local community at their headquarters here in Exeter, as well as working with local scientific partners such as the University of Exeter. Apex Scaffolding are proud to support local by employing 58 staff from the area and using local suppliers such as Elite Cleaning SD Limited, Harry Moore Commercials, Technofix, Devon Commercial Stationers, Southwest Comms and Devon Waste Management. And finally, The Belt Makers is a lovely shop on 4th Street specialising in handmade belts and offering other beautiful products from makers and crafters. They are proud to support local by stocking, using and promoting local artisans and other local businesses, including Alison Miles Pottery, Henry Tompkins Leather, The Black Pearl, Loke Exeter, Elevate Hair Studio, The Den Barber and Bunyip Craft. Now, if you'd like to take part in the campaign, please do send us a picture and tell us how you support local. You can do that either via the website exeterchamber.co.uk/support local or emailing inquiries@exeterchamber.co.uk. That's it from us then, the brand new Exeter Chamber of Commerce programme called Refocus. We will be back next month though. October the 22nd is the date. Pop that in your diary. But if you'd like to carry on today's conversation, please come and join us over on Zoom. There is a link in the chat box as we speak right now. Come and do some networking, have some conversations, maybe ask a few more questions about today's show to the people who will be there and looking after the room. So come and join us there. If you can't, as I say, we'll be back October the 22nd, Thursday, 11 o'clock. Look forward to seeing you then. Thank you for joining us today and have a very safe and prosperous month ahead.